Brownlow, Coleman and Premiership. Welcome back to Sound the Siren. I'm Xavier.
I'm Dylan. Welcome back to another episode. There's only 1 week left until the season begins. I'm back with the usual boys. Das, how are you this week?
I'm right, mate. Currently in isolation because certain events, so it hasn't been too much fun, but it's all right.
Get well soon. We're hoping that you will be well soon. Zave, how have you been the last week?
Pretty good. I'm stressing out a little bit over my Supercoach team. It's getting close to D-Day, so it's getting difficult, but it's all right.
And I'll hint towards another episode. You mentioned that you did 7 trades, I believe.
Yeah, just in about the last 40 minutes, I've switched 7 players out of my team. I think I'm liking it better now, but it's a lot different.
All right, well, let's just jump into things. We're here for our usual preseason predictions. We'll just kick things off with the ultimate winner of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Who wants to go first?
All yours.
All right, so I've gone just about as basic as can be. I've picked Melbourne and I've picked Petrarca to win the Norm Smith. I don't know. I'm sure at least one of you probably has a similar thing. Other good teams are in the league like Brisbane and stuff, but Melbourne was just so dominant, especially towards the end of last year. Felt like I had to pick them again.
I've got Brisbane for the Premiership and Charlie Cameron, Norm Smith.
Charlie Cameron, what's your reasoning for that?
I feel like he'll just score 4 or 5, as he tends to do in some big games.
Yep. I am Brisbane as well, but I've gone with Jared Lyons. I feel like he could have 30 plus possessions as he did last year and was very consistent. Lachie Neale also, would you say a dark horse now, Lachie Neale?
No, he's still one of the best players in the league by far, but I feel like he has a higher benchmark, if that makes sense. So if he gets 35, they won't consider it to be amazing, whereas usually the Norm Smith is someone who plays well out of their usual standard if you go back through the years, other than all the dusty performances, but that's because there wasn't much else. But yeah, it's usually a player who plays above their usual standard that gets it.
Now, Zave, you said Melbourne. Was that just because their list last year was insane, or was there another factor?
Their list last year was just so good. They had like 7 players or something in the All-Australian squad, and they've got the same team again this year, or at least very, very similar. They get a few players back, Tomlinson and the like, so I think they're going to be just as good as they were last year, if not better.
Yep. Now, there are a few prominent goal kickers in those sides that we just mentioned. So we'll go to the goal kickers. For the Coleman medal, I've had a few people in mind. I'll hold off for the moment. Das, who is your Coleman medalist for 2022?
I've got Max King as the Coleman medalist. I think he'll just take it to a next step up this year, and I don't think it'll be too hard to win. Similar to last year, how Harry McKay didn't score that many and missed a few games, just there wasn't really anyone else to compete with him. I feel like Max King will just have a good run there, score 4 or 5 goals a game for 5 or 6 weeks, and that'll just about do it.
Now, I do have to ask, if Ben King was still playing and didn't have that gruesome injury, would you see him putting up a reasonable battle against his brother?
He was right up there last year. I think was he top 5 maybe? He was up there last year.
He was right up there for most of the year, for sure.
Yeah, and you'd expect Gold Coast, they should improve. So therefore their midfield should improve. They should score more, and you'd expect him to do that scoring. But yeah, it's an unfortunate loss for Gold Coast.
Well, I have gone with, and I know you probably thought I would pick Max King, but I've tried to stay away from the Saints, and I've gone with Harry McKay. Save, I know you're a big fan of him, Harry McKay. If he is efficient this year, he could probably tally about 60 goals. I think he had 52-ish last year, correct me if I'm wrong. But if he sticks to the draw, or if he corrects his drop punt, or just snaps it around the body every time and it goes through, 60 could be the benchmark.
I have to say, I didn't even think of Harry McKay for some reason. I had Jeremy Cameron winning my Coleman, but I think he might have convinced me to pick Harry Mackay-Dillon. Just because, as you said, he won it last year. He can kick 60 goals, and Carlton, honestly, we still don't have that much else to look at. We have Kerno, but I think that's only going to help Harry Mackay get a bit more space. It might push him up the ground. The other one was Tom Lynch. I think he might finish third, but yeah, I'll go with Harry.
And McGovern as well, departing to the back line. So just another person out of his way, the big Harry. But onto the pool of the young players. There's always one rising star, and there's just so much talent this year. I know there's probably more than the previous years, it's fair to say. You don't think?
I feel like there's just this much talent every year. It's just we aren't as attentive to it.
Oh, yeah.
At least me and you do.
As well, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we just pay more attention to this year.
Yeah. So I'll let you go this time, Save.
I have Nick Dacos. So I had Jason Horne-Francis until last week when I saw Horne-Francis played a bit more forward, which I don't think will be as good a role for him if he's looking to win this award. And then I have Dacos winning because obviously he was so good in the practice match. But I think Darcy's probably a bit more educated on the rookies than I am this year. So.
You wouldn't have said him anyways if you're looking at purely rookies, but Logan McDonald is my pick.
Yep.
There's been a bit of a trend lately of the second year players having a better chance at it. Sydney should be a top 8 side, so therefore they're going to be scoring a bit. Logan McDonald is a key forward alongside Buddy, who we know is a bit injury prone, and probably Sam Reid and maybe a couple others swinging through there. I feel like he's going to have a good chance at it. If he plays a lot of games, he should score a good amount of goals. So I think he'll be very much in consideration there.
I might have a little bit of recency bias in my decision, but on the other side of the scale, which I'm foreshadowing to later on in the episode, I think the Hawks will be down the bottom of the ladder. So I think Josh Ward will play a whole lot of time in the midfield. And after his effort on the weekend, I'm convinced that he has a great shot at it.
Yeah, I think when I thought about it at the start, it was between our 3 picks. I don't think Horne-Francis is going to play enough midfield time unless he just starts in the foreliners and super impressive. I feel like the 3 that were picked are probably the front runners because they got the best sort of roles and their team have a lot of faith in them.
Josh Rochelle, does he have a crack at it, or?
He has a crack at it, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to have a consistent year, if that makes sense. He's the type of player to have a couple of good games. I don't know if you're able to keep it up all year, and they do tend to like the consistency over the year.
Yep. Save, any dark horses for you?
I would have said Matt Rowley if he played 2 less games. I think it would have been a lock, but unfortunately for him, he's played too many. So, no.
All right. Well, with the loss of Sam Walsh, that's one Brownlow favourite out of the run. He still could win it, but he'd need to be man of the match for many of their games, which is highly possible. But Zave, who is your Brownlow medalist for this season?
So this was the most trouble I've had picking a Brownlow medalist for a long time. So obviously Dangerfield, Martin and Fife, who are the 3 go-to normally, all 3 of them just feel like they're not going to really compete for it this year. Bontempelli, who I picked most years, I just don't think he's going to get there. Obviously, he's got a lot of help in that midfield now with Treloar, Dunkley, Jack McRae and the likes, and he'll have a lot of people stealing the votes. But there is one person that goes by the name of Patrick Cripps that I think will be a great chance. Honestly, no bias. No, there is some bias. There are a few people that I think are a chance, but I did want to say Cripps just to give him a bit of praise. He's looked really good in the preseason. We know he's had, I think, 3 top 5 finishes before, and that's with Carlton being an absolutely rubbish team. So if he can, get a couple wins for the team, and it's going to be on the back of what he's done. That's what Jared Healy was saying today. He said Cripps looked as good as he's ever been. We know he struggled with a lot of injuries last year, so I think he's actually a genuine shot. So I'm going to pick him.
And I'll just quickly add, similar to Matty Rowell, they just needed a rest in the off-season because I think Matt Rowell has the potential to be a top 20 player in the league this year alongside Touk Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Das?
I've gone a little bit more expected here. I've gone Jack Steele. Continuing the Saints' love, I feel like there's not really a player to steal votes from the Saints. They should be a bit higher up this year than last year, or around the mark at least. So usually best players in decent teams tend to poll well. There won't be too many players taking best on grounds off him, except for Max King, who's going to be winning the Coleman too. So, yeah.
Even Rowan Marshall as well. I'd say they're probably the primary threats. But
interrupt. I would have had Jack Steele winning, but if I can quote Darcy, he said the best players in decent teams end up winning. And I'm really sorry if this offends you, Dylan, but I don't think St Kilda is going to be very decent this year. So.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
But I do think Jack Steele, if St Kilda do end up winning games, if they finish 8th, even higher, then I would have had Jack Steele for sure. So it's more St Kilda than on him.
Yeah, well, Das has already bestowed on my pick. I'll go with Jack Steele as well. I can't help but to think that he will just run rampant again, as he did last year. Even in our blowouts, we had a few. I can tell you that much, a 104-point loss, etc. We don't need to go into it, but even then, he was still having 25 plus disposals. So always knows how to make an impact. Jack Steele. Now, this is probably my personal favourite category. We have a surprise All-Australian pick, and I'll swing it over to you again, Das.
The way I'm going to put this, I think this is pretty much how it is, though. It's surprising now, but I don't think it'll be surprising mid-season or towards the end of the season. And it's Andy Brayshaw. I think he's just going to go big from the very start of the season. A lot of people are just going to be considering him all year, and then he might slow up a bit there, but they tend to focus a lot on the start of the year. Like, I remember, was it 2 years ago, Nick Haynes had a really good start to the year, and then he fizzled out, but even then he was still in the talk towards the end of the year just because of how well he started. So I feel like he should start well. Fifey today said he's going to play midfield time, so that gives me less hope for it. But I wrote this last night, but yeah.
Dave?
My surprise All-Australian pick, it's really, really out on a limb, similar to my Brownlow prediction. Jack Lukosius, I think it'll be a very big surprise. He was a number 2 pick. I think Gold Coast are going to improve a lot as compared to what they've been in the last couple of years. So I think he can be a driving factor of that.
You know, they're moving him forward.
Yeah, I was about to say.
He was drafted as a forward at the number 2 pick, so I think he can still cause a lot of damage in the forward line.
Right.
I have gone with Adam Cerra, 22 years old, and there's a lot of potential for prosperity from the Blues. And with Walsh out, I can't think otherwise than Cripps and Adam Cerra headlining the Blues. Obviously, there's Harry Mackay, as we spoke on, but I don't know, Cerra out of the middle with the clearances and the 1-2 punch with Cripps. I just think that there's a dominant force brewing at the Blues. I don't want to say it to give Zabe too much confidence, but Adam Cerra is my pick.
My issue with that one is you'd say, unless they go by last year, you'd say that Weeder and Mackay and Walsh should all be in the All-Australian.
Yeah.
Unless something goes wrong. And then if Cripps has a good year too, that's 4 Carlton players. And I'd say unless Carlton are really high, like top 4 team, I don't think they're going to have 5 players. So I don't think Cerra has much of a chance there at all, because he's probably 5th most likely to make it. And yeah, you got to be a really good team to have 5 in the All-Australian team.
For sure.
It is a surprise though, Das.
Surprise and bad are 2 different things. But yes.
All right. On to our expected or surprise headline now.
I've got I don't know how surprising this is. I just have it more as a headline, but it's just specific. So it's still bold there, but Adam Simpson loses job round 18. So after the round 18 match, I believe he'll lose his job.
Wouldn't be earlier than round 18?
No, I've got a reason for it. After doing the ladder predictor,
Okay.
they lost Adam losing 10 something straight, and then the final loss was against Hawthorn. Yeah. So I think they lose to Hawthorn, who'll be down the bottom. So that'll do it for them.
See, I don't position the Eagles as poor as people are making them out to be. I still think they have a somewhat competent list.
Have you seen their injury list?
I have,
Yeah.
yes. I have seen their injury list, but
I agree with Dylan. They have horrible injuries. Obviously, Jack Darling is in doubt as well.
Yeah.
And they've got heaps going wrong for them at the moment, but I still think they have a really talented list. Like they have Elliot Yeo back this year, and then they've got like players after players after players. They've made all Australian teams and been really good in the past. So I don't think they're as bad as some people are saying. But
yeah. Save, you may as well list off your headline.
Just quickly, on the surprise All Australian, would you accept Bailey Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to change my pick to Bailey Smith because I think he's another really good one. He had a few troubles with obviously family issues, mental health.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of really, really good midfielders playing at the Dogs. But I know there's been a lot of push in the past that have been like, we need to play genuine wingmen. And if he's not going to the centre bounces and he gets pushed out a little bit due to all those names that I said earlier, then I think that could definitely help his case. But my surprise headline, which is definitely a surprise, and I've already talked about it in this video, is Patrick Cripps wins the Brownlow. So,
yeah. You don't want to mention anything else that you expect, or?
Not at the moment. If I can think of something else, I'll bring it up. But
all right. I'm not sure if you'll categorize mine as a surprise. I know, Das, you probably won't, but mine is speculation of the Suns' future has risen again after miserable year.
No. Like, I feel like it's a bold call, but I feel like, no, it's not really that bold, to be fair. I feel like media just tend to put that out anyways. They tend to put out pieces, particularly on Gold Coast. They have a thing for the Tassie team at the moment, so they'll probably put out the idea of Gold Coast moving to Tassie. But
I think the AFL will finally stamp their authority and take action if they do have another 3 or 4 win season.
See, that's the thing though. They already who's their president now or CEO or something? They moved someone from the AFL into Gold Coast, or he didn't need to be moved. But they're getting help from the AFL now. I feel like they've got plenty of compensation picks. I think they're having their chance now. We talked about this last video. They've got a couple of years, and if it doesn't work out, then they'll have to find another way forward.
Yep. Now on to our ladders. I can begin if you would like. We did the Squiggle, I believe the website's called.
Yeah.
The AFL ladder.
Save yours for last, Dylan. We tend to save yours for last because it's the funniest one.
You do tend to dissect it, so I'll let you boys select who goes first.
Davey, is yours interesting?
I don't know. I can show you.
Yeah.
Just you always have a look.
Yeah. No, that is
22-0.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
The games are not like I didn't pay much attention. I just picked the team that I think is better.
Okay.
Right.
A little harsh on North there too, Das, just quietly.
And I'm seeing Gold Coast at 11 too. So
St Kilda 14th. Jeez, I reckon that's almost more left field than mine, Das.
Yeah, there's a lot of Carlton bias there. 13 wins.
Don't pay attention to the record. Pay attention to only the position.
I am, but jeez, that is brutal.
What don't you like? You have pick something.
I'm not even being a St Kilda supporter here, but I do feel like they have more talent than 14.
Saints Freo
higher
should not be behind Gold Coast in any circumstance.
I actually just switched them before. I had Gold Coast at 13th, and then Fremantle and West Coast at bottom. But just after I picked Lukosius, I switched and I made Gold Coast beat West Coast twice and moved them up 2 spots. So.
Yeah, I don't mind the top 4. I feel like
that's
decent in any order. But
that's.
I mean, no, the bottom 4 too. Top 4, bottom 4 is good, but
they're solidified. But Richmond 7th as well.
I'm not surprised by Richmond. That's where I've got them. But
I don't think Dylan. I think Dylan's going to have Richmond really low.
I might be undermining Richmond. I could definitely.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
I could see Carlton falling lower. Like, I don't mean to be biased. I can show you who.
Oh no, the Carlton pick's probably one of the better ones, to be honest.
Nah.
You don't think? Okay.
No, it's all good except for Carlton, Gold Coast, and yeah, I'm not sure about some of the records.
All right. Well, speaking of Carlton,
but as I said, just discard the records. I only picked the team that I think is better. I didn't mean to try and make it believable. Just the first spot. So.
All right, Das, where do you have Carlton? See, I don't mind that save. I honestly see them finishing top 8.
Here we go.
Oh,
I feel like it's not that ridiculous, to be fair. It's just Carlton's very low.
I mean,
it's largely similar to mine, except Carlton lower and St Kilda a lot higher.
I had Gold Coast very low too.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it just demonstrates the competitiveness this year. To be honest, when you have Carlton 12th, that's when you know that the competition is running hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
North look high there, but I actually didn't mind the games I had them winning. I beating Hawthorn, West Coast. I think I did one weird one, but Adelaide, Hawthorn again.
Gold Coast, yeah.
And Gold Coast. So I had us losing to Adelaide and Gold Coast and whatever. So I feel like it wasn't ridiculous, but that's just sort of how it all worked out. The bottom was quite low and the top was quite high, if that makes sense. There's big drop off from the top 8 to Freo a bit unlucky, but then drop off to 10th.
Now, Zave, the team in 13th does revolve around his expected or surprise headline, and he's expecting a disastrous season from the Eagles. How do you feel? 5-17 with a percentage of 88.8.
I actually just changed my ladder again. I switched the Gold Coast victories back to West Coast. Gold Coast moves down to 13th and West Coast moves up to 10th. But so with West Coast at 10th, I don't think that's that horrible a season, given that they're going to start with so many injuries and so many issues that they have already.
See, now this is the run I was talking about. So we go from round 5 all the way through to round 18.
You have them beating the Saints?
At Perth, yes. All the way through to 18. That's the terrible run I'm talking about. They win a few of their last couple after they do the coach sacking, which they tend to have a little bit of a boost afterwards. But yeah, that's why they end up with 5 wins, because they win 3 of the last 6. So yeah.
So you think they'll be a revitalized Eagles side?
Not really. They'll be quite low, and then they'll just win a couple in a row, because there usually is an interim coach boost.
Yeah,
with 3 of our teams in the last 5 years, it's happened. So
yeah, that's what I was alluding to. But yeah. 4 wins between 9 and 10 as well.
Yeah, I know. I feel like Freo's right up there. I think I had Saints losing a couple of games that were close, but yeah.
Yeah, I think if West Coast do lose that many in a row, then Adam Simpson will be in trouble. But
yeah. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. Here we go. It'll be interesting to see what you extract from this. There's my ladder.
Dogs are really low.
Yeah, I did think that the losses were somewhat reasonable. I'll show you.
We'll have a first.
Yeah.
So is Richmond. They're really low too.
Richmond, GWS.
Yeah, and GWS was the other one I was going to say.
Well, I might be undermining Richmond, as I said.
You are.
I just feel like there's too much youth for them to be in the top 7 in Zave's case. Well, they do have experience, but they have a lot of youth as well.
Not really. I had them 6. So.
All right, well, I'll show you the Dogs first. So I had them losing to the Power, Geelong,
Sydney,
Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne.
Hawthorn,
Yeah, Hawthorn.
And the Hawks, that was the one surprise. Last year, they were pretty lethargic down at the is it Aurora Stadium? So
York
Like the
Park.
Hawks could get it done. York Park. Yeah.
If you switch that, that probably puts them into fourth as well. So
Yeah. Let me do that.
so it's not too dissimilar to anything we have.
Even then, they're still fifth.
Yeah. I think biggest gripes I'd have with it is Richmond and GWS, but I think all of them have been fairly similar.
Yeah.
Those two. I just rechanged my team and my list if you want to see it. It's the exact same except Gold Coast and West Coast have switched spots. West Coast into 10th.
Yeah.
I feel like it won't be a good year for the coasts. So, yeah.
But it's Gold Coast's year to impress.
With 3 wins.
I mean,
So you had
well, that's if my headline goes to plan, which knowing my predictions could very well backfire.
Yeah, good.
So, boys, anything else you want to note off? Any other predictions?
No, we'll be doing Team Make It soon, Supercoach episode before next week.
Yeah.
Hogan said he wants to get on and get his team reveal.
All right.
So,
for those who don't know, he's also running the AFL Supercoach Instagram behind the scenes, which I'll put in the description, the link to it. Plenty of content being released out there. We even showed our teams and some prize picks, some cash cows. So be sure to check that out. Order your new Footy Beanies. The link will be in the description. Follow at sts.podcast in the description. And that's it for today, boys. Thanks for joining me again.
and subscribe as well.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe. Nearly at 200 subscribers. So again, thank you for all the support as of late, especially the last episode.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for all the support on the last one. It's almost our biggest video. So
I think it is now.
So we will continue to upload our weekly Supercoach episode. And if you do have any other topics that you want in the Supercoach episode, because we tend to have our usual schedule, list them off in the comments. We'll be sure to include them. But that's all for today. Thanks again, boys, for joining me. Have a good one. We will catch you next time.